When I Learned to Stand. Chapter 1. The Life That Felt Safe. My name is Daniel. Once, my life was simple. Not perfect, but safe. I lived with my parents in a small house that always smelled of food and books. My father, Michael, was a quiet man. He spoke less, but when he spoke, his words stayed in your heart. My mother, Clara, was warm and emotional. She talked a lot, laughed loudly, and cried easily. I was their only child. Everything they did was for me. My father worked long hours as an accountant. He came home tired, but he never forgot to ask me how my day was. At night, he sat near the window with a notebook. He wrote slowly, carefully, as if every word mattered. I used to ask him, "What are you writing, Dad?" He smiled and said, "Lessons for life. One day you'll need them." I laughed back then. I never thought I would. My mother was my comfort. When I failed an exam, she hugged me. When I got sick, she stayed awake all night. When I was afraid of the dark, she sat beside my bed until I slept. She was my world. I believed life would always stay this way. I was wrong. Chapter 2. The Day Everything Ended. My father started coughing more often. He said it was nothing. My mother told him to rest, but he always replied, "Just one more project." One night, he did not come home on time. The phone rang. I still remember my mother's face when she answered it. Her smile disappeared. Her hands started shaking. She dropped the phone. I asked, "Mom?" She looked at me and whispered, "Your father. He collapsed." We rushed to the hospital. The white lights burned my eyes. Doctors ran, nurses shouted instructions. My mother prayed out loud. After some time, a doctor came out and lowered his head. That was the moment my life broke. My father was gone. I was 23 years old, but I felt like a child who had lost her protector. At the funeral, people said, "Be strong," but they did not know what strength meant. At night, I opened my father's notebook. The first page said, "Life will test you. Do not run." I cried until morning. Chapter 3. Two People, One Pain. After my father's death, the house became silent. My mother stopped laughing. She moved like a shadow. She cooked but did not eat. She smiled, but her eyes were empty. We lived together, but we were both alone. Every night I read my father's notebook. His words became my voice when I had none. One line said, "Pain does not mean the end, it means change." I did not understand it then. Months passed. Slowly, my mother started talking about a man from her office. His name was Victor. At first, I ignored it. Then one evening, she said, "Daniel, I think you should meet him." Something inside me froze. Chapter 4. The Stranger Who Entered Our Home. Victor came with flowers and a smile. I did not smile back. He talked loudly. He laughed at his own jokes. He touched my mother's shoulder too often. I hated every second of it. After he left, I said, "Why is he here?" My mother replied softly, "Because I am lonely." Her words hurt more than anger. Soon, Victor came again and again. My mother laughed again. That hurt even more. One night I shouted, "Are you replacing Dad?" She cried and said, "No one can replace your father, but I cannot live in darkness forever." I went to my room and read my father's notebook. People make choices when they are afraid. I started to understand, but understanding did not remove the pain. Chapter 5: A Choice That Broke Me. One evening, my mother sat in front of me. She said, "Daniel, I'm going to marry Victor." The room felt smaller. I said, "If you do this, you will lose me." She cried, "Please don't make me choose." But she had already. The wedding was small. I stood far away. I did not clap. I did not smile. Victor looked at me and said, "You must accept this." I answered quietly, "I will never accept you." After the wedding, things changed fast. Victor controlled everything: money, time, decisions. One day he said, "He is an adult. He should move out." My mother stayed silent. That silence hurt more than words. Chapter 6: Alone for the Second Time. They moved to a new apartment. I stayed in my father's house alone. This loneliness was worse than death. Death had no choice. This did. Food became a problem. Money became a problem. Sleep became a problem. I worked anywhere I could, cleaning floors, carrying boxes, working night shifts. Every night I read my father's notebook. When the world leaves you, stay. I started writing my own words beside his. I am still here. Slowly, I became stronger. Not happy, but strong. Chapter 7: The Mask Begins to Crack. Years passed. I heard stories about Victor, his anger, his lies, other women. My mother called me late at night. She whispered, "I am not happy." I said nothing. One night she cried and said, "I made a mistake." That was the first time she admitted it. Victor became cruel. Words turned sharp. Love turned cold. One day she arrived at my door. Her eyes were empty. She said, "He left me." Chapter 8: The Return. She had nothing. No money, no home, no strength. She asked softly, "Can I stay?" I looked at her for a long time. Then I remembered my father's words. Forgiveness is strength. I opened the door. She cried in my arms like a child. "I am sorry," she repeated again and again. Healing was slow. Some days were quiet, some days painful, but we ate together again, talked again, lived again. Chapter 9: Becoming More Than Pain. I continued working, studying, learning. I started teaching others what I learned from my father's notebook. People listened. Success did not come fast, but it came honestly. One evening, my mother said, "Your father would be proud." I smiled. For the first time in years, I believed it. Today, I still live in the same house. My father's notebook rests on the table. The last line I wrote says, "I did not break. I learned to stand." I lost a father. I lost a mother for a while. I lost my safety, but I found myself. And sometimes that is the greatest victory. The end.